you very much for coming and also watching Records Fair Network. It's Maria Mpenswa Africa from Uganda, and it's a good morning, guys. Well, today it's very unfortunate that my network is always disturbing, and the network in Uganda is disturbing nowadays, despite of the fact of using VPN. Of course, even if you pay the tax, the internet tax, you still find your network very disturbing. So I believe, and I'm so sure this is not normal, the network of Uganda being like this. So it's all about political problems and what have you. But well, I pray to my sisters that they enable me to be alive today. Yesterday it was a very disturbing day for me. My network was on and off, but of course, I can see I'm having viewers. Guys, thank you very much for coming and thank you for watching Baba Trying to Work. Oh, it's me, Maria, and of course, it's yet another new day here. But yeah, what should we do? The world is sleeping, and I'm here because my network is just not favoring me. Know that now it's fucking hard of him, probably in different ways. And whoever's watching, probably it's Lando, maybe it's Mr. Truth, it can also be Keith or you know. But yeah, of course, guys, thank you very much for coming and for watching. It can also be Washington or whatever, or whoever is watching. Please drop your comment and let me know who's watching. And tell me what you think about Edie Amin and what you heard about him, what you believe, and probably, because it's so much. Everyone, if there is anybody tell me they've never heard about him, they are just lying. Idi Amin was someone who was so prominent. He was not only a Ugandan president, but also a celebrity. Now, facts about Idi Amin was most people said a lot of about him. And for you, some others were wrong, others were right. Well, but let's look at some facts about Idi Amin. Now, fact number one was should I name them like fact number one, two, three, whatever? No, because they said I had a lot of things, so I'll just talk about him like that. One thing, like I say, yesterday I was trying to tell you guys that Idi Amin had a record that he was somebody who loved, uh, sports. He was a sports fan. That's one. Two, Idi Amin was someone who loved tradition and culture. Idi Amin was this kind of man who believed in polygamous marriage. Idi Amin was someone who was proud of being an African. He was everything a true African would actually be, despite of his flaws and some other things, because of course nobody's perfect. So I'm not gonna say that Idi Amin was, but every concept you could see that Idi Amin tried as much as possible to develop his country and also to neglect all this colonialist rules and whatever what have you they had towards Uganda. Now Idi Amin was one of the African presidents who abolished bleaching. I think that's the time when bleaching had just come. I don't know. I don't know, but I believe I can't say bleaching started way back. But Idi Amin abolished it. You understand? Idi Amin abolished bleaching. Idi Amin did not put a policy that whenever you're caught with bleaching cream or chemicals in your shop or pharmacy, whatever you are selling them, you are sentenced into imprisonment. And if he comes to realize that you're also bleaching, the same thing will happen to you. So Idi Amin was a man who was great and that was, proud of his color and how he looked like. So Idi Amin also was this kind of man who, when he says something, he has to make sure that it passes, and not because that uh, not because of probably what people thought, but he always said that whenever he goes back to his words, it's a sign of weakness. You understand? So this man was just a true character of African people, because in tradition Africa society we saw this happening. We saw this happening in history by our traditional, I mean, African great leaders. So he always say that if I say something, you guys have to make sure that you abide by it. Because if I go back to my words and I don't do whatever I said I will do, that means the next time I will say something and everyone will be like, nah, he's always saying he doesn't do a thing, so we are used to him like this. So that Amin broke that and said, whenever he says something, he has to make sure he does it, because he doesn't want to go back on his word, because people will not believe in him, will not trust him. But of course, probably this is what people call dictatorship. Okay. Michelle Gibson, well, thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Gibson. You're very much welcome on Black Ops Fire Network. Hello, we are talking about Idi Amin today, and I want to know what you know about him, what you feel about Idi Amin, and of course, what the world told you about him. So Idi Amin was that kind of person. So that kind of life made him to be a dictator. Everyone called him a dictator because he didn't want anyone to advise him on what he thinks or what he says. Because, like I told before, he was somebody who never wanted to go back on his words. You know, in Africa there is a proverb that says that anyone who goes back on their vomit, when you go back on your word, it's like you've gone to eat your own vomit. You understand? So I believe in the society, people uh, were so very, conscious about going back on their words. And Idi Amin believed that if I go back on my words, if I say something and I go back on it and I don't, I don't fulfill it, or if I'm just like, sorry, I'm not gonna do it that way, that means I'll not be a strong man. That means the next time I'll try to say something, people are not gonna believe me. So he tried so very much to, to make sure that he says and he does what he says. And if he's not going to do something, he does not say it. So that was him. When he says a good thing, he's definitely going to do it. When he says a bad thing, he's going to do it. So there is also this rumor that kept on running, people saying that Idi Amin was feeding people slippers and what have you. I told you yesterday that Idi Amin fed people slippers. But this is going to be your judgment, right? You're going to tell me whether he was right to do it. I know there is no reason. I'm not going to say it's ever right to do such kind of a thing, but we're going to look at this. Idi Amin woke up one time and said, I do not want to see people wearing slippers in the capital of Kampala. I mean, the capital city of Uganda. So, guys are not going to wear slippers. You understand? Uh, Michelle say that that's called integrity. So yes, let me like that. Actually, that's integrity, because most leaders have failed today because they do not do what they promised. That was unlike a man. Most leaders right now, they will say we want to put this policy in place, and they do not. They're the first people to break the policy. That was unlike this very man. So, like I said before, so I agree with Michelle. Michelle says that that was called integrity, not going back to your vomit. You understand? So, like I said, we looked at like I was talking about sleepers, right? Idi Amin himself uh, ordered that people should not wear slippers when they're moving around the capital of Uganda. That's Kampala. He was not talking about other outside places, of course, but he put this everything almost in the big cities of Uganda. So what he did, he knew that the people may not be able to afford the sandals or the shoes that he wants them to wear. He said that slippers are not things that are supposed to move from the house to the public. People at least have to wear sandals or shoes. You understand? So Idi Amin put an order to all the retail wholesalers and all the supermarkets, shops, and wherever you could buy slippers, sandals, and shoes. He ordered them to reduce the price of these commodities to a bread price. That means Every almost 98% of Ugandans could afford buying sandals and shoes at that time. In fact, I should say like almost everyone because everyone can buy bread, a small bread. So shoes and sandals became the cheapest commodity in Uganda. This took something like 3 months. Of course, this was on order of Idi Amin. Then, putting down the prices of sandals and shoes, he increased the prices of slippers because he never wanted people to have these slippers around the capital. Now, from there, he said, if I find anyone wearing slippers after reducing the price of sandals and shoes in Uganda for 3 months, that means you will have provoked me and you will have provoked my integrity. So, yes, after that duration, the shoes and the sandals went back to their normal prices. And then, guess what? He put the soldiers on all the streets of Kampala to check in who is not wearing sandals and shoes and is going to the market or is going out. So these people are the people who were punished. But now tell me, why would you want to wear slippers outside of your house? I mean, this is just not normal. Why should you wear slippers from your house to the supermarket, from your house to wherever it is? So this is what Idi Amin did. And then the next time he say, I'll feed you those slippers. You will eat them, you will chew them. And I'm telling you the truth. He did it to two people. And the whole capital was wearing shoes and sandals. So please you can drop in your comments and tell me what you feel about Idi Amin's act. Okay. You can tell me what he did was just fine, just fine, or was it fair or not. You can still drop in your comment and tell me what you think. Westron, thank you very much for coming. I don't really understand that you dropped there, but thank you for coming and for watching Black of Final Word. Hmm. So that's what happened. Now, Idi Amin was one of the presidents. In fact, if at all it was not to be brainwashed, he should be remembered in every Africa's country because Idi Amin was the reason as to why African national anthems are being sung in Olympics. Africans were participating in Olympics. Like I told you before, Idi Amin was somebody who loved sports so very much. So Africans were participating in Olympics, but they were never recognized. Their national anthems were never sung. And it's like all the people were singing, the band that was singing national anthems was claiming that they don't know Africa's national anthem. So Idi Amin wrote to all the Africans and of course ordered all the African leaders not to participate in Olympics until Lando, I can see as you're back at me. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much for coming and for watching and always being here when I'm here. That's that makes me feel so great and happy. So we are talking about Idi Amin now. We also looked actually like I say that African continents were not recognized in Olympics. They wanted their labor, they wanted them to participate, but they were never welcomed. So Idi Amin had to order all the African president not to release their athletes to go into Olympics until they learn all the national anthems of Africa. So within no time, so these guys knew all these anthems. When Idi Amin ordered them to sing the Africa's national anthem for the first time, after Idi Amin, of course, ordered the African presidents to boycott it. Now you can see that he was somebody who never wanted to be intimidated by anybody. Speaking of the whites or the colonial masters, One time I remember there is that picture that circulated a lot about him being lifted by the white people. Of course, Idi Amin came in and he ordered those white people who came into Uganda to carry him because he said that you people, when you come here, you make my people to carry you. You make my people to carry you. You make them to live because I am the president of this place. So I had to carry him. Hi, just like the way they made other Africans, carry themselves. The colonialists, the way he intimidated, the colonizers made them hate him so very much that they started preaching different propagandas and dirty propaganda about him to the extent almost some other big known countries in Africa acted movies about him, you know. And of course, it was a dirty movie and a very sad one at that. So we also saw Amin chasing Indians from Uganda. Now, Indians had shops, Indian had big businesses. They are the ones in the economical, markets and everything. But Idi Amin came in and chased them back to India. He gave them, I think, 3 days, 1 week, and he ordered them to travel back to India, telling them this is Uganda, this markets are supposed to be for Ugandans, you guys. You cannot compete market with the people, the indigenous people. And if at all we are going to do trade, we are going to do trade with Africans, and Africans will do trade with us. That was Idi Amin. He never agreed to trade with the Europeans. All his trades were all over Africa, but not beyond Africa. Idi Amin supported the growth of coffee and also invited other African countries to buy coffee from Uganda. And he could only sell coffee to Africans, not Europeans. Now that was Idi Amin. Of course, you can still drop in your comment and tell me what you think about him. Lando, please, you can also tell me what you think about him and the sleeper thing. And I hope you heard the story about him and the sleepers. Uh, of course, now Idi Amin was educated man. Though most people think that he was not. Idi Amin never loved speaking English, and that made him look like illiterate in the eyes of very many people. You know, so most people thought that he's very illiterate because he was somebody who was very weird. When he was speaking English, he could make sure that he's just making crazy things out of the English. So people believe that this man is not educated, he's foolish, he's bad. I mean, worse educated. Now, Lando says that Idi Amin did a lot good thing, but Europeans will tell you differently. He did what was for Ugandans, far of kick out foreigners out of Uganda, but the cons Ugandans will also lie about him. Yes, and I also grew up hearing false things about him. But of course, in those false things, there is when you give in your mind, you'll get to realize the truth. Like I say, he was somebody who never wanted to go back to his word. And Michelle Gibson told us that is called integrity. When he says something, he said that he has to make sure that that thing goes through. If he says something, he's never going to back, you know, just because he wants people to believe in him, to trust him, and to know that he's a man of his word. And that's the excuse he was always putting across. So that made people call him a dictator because he wanted whatever he says to go through. And for the reason being that he never wanted people to distrust him. He never wanted to break people's trust. He wanted to be a man of his word. And that was Idi Amin. Yes, we saw him chase Indians and also chase a lot of Europeans out of Uganda. Idi Amin was somebody who loved sports a lot. We've seen him sponsoring a lot of Ugandans into sports. And sports people in Uganda were rich at that time compared of today. You find a lot of sports people in Uganda sponsoring themselves into Olympics and what have you. But Idi Amin loved sports to the a point that he really, really supported one great sportsman called Johnny Akibwa, who broke the world record in Olympics at that time. He was from Uganda, John Akibwa. Now, and with him, let me first read Lando's, Lando says that a good African leader will always be ridiculed, okay, ridiculed by European because they threaten the power system. That's true. That's very true. Honestly, that's true. And I feel like it's so very sad that even other African countries, even other leaders didn't come out to talk good about him after knowing what he did. Now, somebody who say that Africa is for Africans and Uganda is for Ugandans and Africans. That was Idi Amin's words. So I remember there was a time he was very, very funny. When someone bows their head, like, that's a sign of respect. Now, this guy, when you are meeting him in State House, he had built a grass thatched house. It had two, doors, the entrance and the exit. So he was always sitting at down a certain tree. He puts his chair over there on a shade, and then if a white person is coming to see him, he does not stop you from coming. He makes sure that you pass through that grass thatched house. In Africa, when you're entering grass thatched house, of course you have to bend your head down. And whenever they could pass that grass thatched house, to say, "You said that you're never gonna bend for me, so what did you just do?" And Europeans could be so mad at him. And but that's what he did. Of course, I'm seeing another person with me, Adam Klepekzek. Hello, my dear, your name, but well, I hope I said it right. Adam, hi, thank you very much for coming and thank you very much for watching Black Hot Fire Network. It's me, Mariam Pins, where Africa 10 are here on Black Hot Fire Network, where you find uncut and diluted and filtered information. And of course, today we are talking about Idi Amin. Please drop your comment and tell me what you think about Idi Amin, what the world told you about Idi Amin. And of course, I hope you've been here with me. I've said a lot of stories about him. What do you think about the stories? I mean, so my brother told me him not going back to his words is called integrity. And Lando was telling us that he was a good leader, but Europeans will tell you differently, which is very true. So I'm here to break that chain and to break the matrix of you guys not knowing a lot about Idi Amin. It's so very unfortunate. Last year, after I had this, after I had this, talk show with Bobby Wine, I had organized to meet three of Idi Amin's son, but unfortunately, something happened that I didn't come on Blackwood Fire Network. But I wanted to meet his son, and ask him how it feels to be his son, and because I know that time they were there, they existed, and them to tell us, of course, how they feel about their father and how their father was like and what have you. So I think it would be so great, but unfortunately, I had organized, but then the next week I didn't come back on Black of Fire. But I even now this whole COVID thing has taken another turn. So, but I'll still try and make sure that I meet these guys if at all everything goes on well. Um. Okay, Countdown says Idi Amin made Eneyurugu wanting to do business in Uganda bow at his feet. Muzungu, yes, that's true. He was a good leader and went against the West, and that's why he was made out to be a dictator. That's very true, guys. Ken Doyne, that's very true. And Mr. Truth, yes, yes. And then he also chased, not to forget Ken Don Seven, he also chased the Indians out of Uganda. Now, there's one place here in Uganda, in Ginger, actually. Indians were, they had occupied, they had occupied almost the entire, Nile, the entire source of the Nile. You all know the source of the Nile, and the Nile begins from Uganda. So they had occupied that entire place, saying that, there is a statue of their, who is this, guys? Remind me, who is this Indian man? It was. mm. So I talked about him last time. Now his name is just flying over my head. So oh God, I was to remember him. God, please give me that strength to remember him. But you guys can still remind me this Indian guy who was a philosopher, and people said that he was somebody who liked people, but again, he was against black people. He was a racist kind of. So his statue. They say that when he died, they carried his ashes. Indians, their burying system. They carried his ashes and poured them at the Nile, so in a lot of Indians settled around the Niles in Uganda here. They settled at the source of the Nile and around the Niles because it's called Gandhi. Oh, thank you. Now I've remembered Gandhi. So Gandhi's ashes were poured in the Nile. He asked his ashes to be poured in the Nile. Gandhi was not taken back to India. So a lot of Indians came and occupied around, the source of the Nile. There were very many and doing a lot of business. If you still go back that side, I mean, when you go in Ginger, you will see a lot. Ginger Town is built of Indian style, kind of. Their infrastructures are Indian style. So there were very many over there, and of course, there are very many mixed people around that place. We can see one celebrity, one Ugandan celebrity, of course. Yeah, most people ask me if she's a white or something. No, she's mixed with Indians and Uganda. So I think she's a close. So yeah, so all these things, Idi Amin came up and chased these people away from Uganda. Mm. And then let me first read. Mr. Tu, he was a good leader and went against the West, and that's why he was made out to be a dictator. Mr. Truth says, yes, he was a racist toward Africans. Yes, Mr. Gandhi was a racist. That's true. So, this your name, Countdown 7. Idi Amin was quoted saying, if he didn't chase the Israelites out of Uganda, the Ugandan would be bankrupt. That's true. If you okay, and then speaking about that, we are going to remember when he hijacked the aeroplane. You remember when they flew the aeroplane, Israel flew the aeroplane and he hijacked it and the at the Entebbe, and it was a lot of things happened at that time. And of course, some other people lost their lives at Entebbe. A lot of Israelites lost their lives. I see there was a time when they came in to bring amendments in the country and something like that. And of course, they wanted Uganda to apologize to them after what Idi Amin did. But of course, now this guy was somebody, I think, like he knew a lot about the colonialists, and he so very much believed in Arabs than these other people. Because of course Arabs were Africans, Arabs are still African, and Arabic is just a language probably, but they were Africans. They all know that. So even during that time he went into Saudi Arabia, where he died, and his remains have not yet been brought home, you know. So, but when the guy went, he went with a lot of things, the Ugandan thing, because he believed that he's the only president who could bring a change. And yes, he did. We've seen him build some good things in Uganda, and he led Uganda by example that probably will never be laid. will never be done again. Now, Idi Amin was never somebody who wanted to take advice from the colonial masters. He always told them, "You stole the children of this land and you bought them with money, and now you can't tell us what to do down here." He was this kind of man who said that he will only do trade with other African countries, but not Europeans. And that was Idi Amin. Idi Amin did a lot of great things, though that people do not really talk about him. They do spread wrong propaganda about him. They say he was a cannibal. He used to eat people and say kind of a bullshit. Of course, why not? But yeah, Idi Amin. I do not. I know I was not born here and I was not there, but I do not agree because Idi Amin was somebody who was practicing Arabic, highly practicing Arabic. Idi Amin, what he felt and his norms could not allow him to do that because he was somebody who was so, close minded. He was somebody who believed in a tradition. So I don't see how somebody could do such a thing. Idi Amin was someone who, had these leaders when he's putting you, when he's giving you, promoting you to a certain level. Let's assume he's telling me Maria to be, the, education minister. I will use that because he did that. He got the education minister one time. If you all remember the years of Idi Amin, the people say he was never educated. Idi Amin, Uganda was registering the best students because at that time they were doing a joint examination. So Uganda was registering the best students in the entire of Africa. And Nigerians were not even doing this. Right now, people say that Nigerians are best students and whatever. Bef- Before, no matter even how small that Uganda was and how less it was developed, Uganda was registering the best students in the entire of Africa because, of course, Africa was doing the same examination, had the same examination board. Now he would wake up and say, Maria, I'm going to make you the Minister of Education in Uganda. I'm going to make you the Minister of Sports and Education in Uganda. But you have to agree, I'm going to give you this amount of money. It's going to be so huge. But you're going to promise me that you're going to make sure that the students of Uganda get the best education and they're going to win. I'm telling you, that was Idi Amin. He never gave out money for free. If he assigns you a duty, he will make you swear that you're going to make sure that whatever assignment he gives you, you're going to make it happen. And if you don't, say I want. And if you say I want, unfortunately, he will never find you another place. He just tells you that now you cannot afford. So you just have to go. You know what I mean? It's always either me. So you come to see a lot of things happened. And then you will realize that everyone here assigned duties, they made sure that they did it right. Because Idi Amin was on their neck. Mhm. Mr. Truth said any African leaders that speak against the West will have a similar campaign waged against them. Of course, and then we can see how they are sugarcoating a lot of sellouts and traitors. The likes of Nelson Mandela being sugarcoated is even remembered and celebrated by the Europeans, by the West. They celebrate Nelson Mandela, and everyone does not ask why they are celebrating Nelson Mandela. Why is Nelson Mandela very much celebrated by the West than even his own people? To the extent that some people think that they are living, I want to be like Nelson Mandela, like they always say that Bob Wine is the now Uganda Nelson Mandela. So whenever some people say that, I always tell them you do not know history or you don't read the real books you're supposed to be reading. Anyway, whatever, we're not going to talk about that today. But we saw them, sugarcoat Mandela and all the kind of bullshit. And then speaking about Mandela, probably today is not the time, but Mandela went to prison. It's white people who took him to prison. But the Mandela that came back from prison was not the Mandela that went to prison. That'll be yet another day story, the story of another day. But we've seen that happen. And we've seen the West love Mandela more than anything. But wait a minute now. My mind has driven me to this. Oh, wait. Let me fast check. Where was this? All right, let me fast check. Mm, did you guys see this Chinese who was in South Africa? Did you read about a Chinese recently who was given a a post in a parliament, like she's gonna be a member of parliament in South Africa? I think that was 2 days ago. A Chinese was, running. But well, let me read. Lando, Uganda was attacked because of its brilliance and high developed children. That scared the European scientists because Uganda was there to their white supremacist system, was a threat to their white supremacist system. Mr. Truth says they killed Gaddafi and Mandela was broken. Lando Winter, I agree with you with that comment. Uganda was attacked because of its brilliancy and high developed children. That's true. To be honest, during the days of Amin, if anyone starts talking to you about Idi Amin not being educated, during the days of Idi Amin, Uganda was producing the best students, and he was always supporting science. He was somebody who loved science so much. Uganda was producing the best students in entire of Africa. But today I don't even see it being recognized, even if it has some recognized institutions. Of course, sometimes it takes lead to be the third in type of Africa, third academically, a third, something like that. It's always on the third, fourth, but which was not the case during the days of Idi Amin, because he made sure that everyone was given the responsibility of being the head of the Minister of Education and Sports was swore to make it happen, swore to give the students of Uganda the best education. Now and then he did not allow the education system of Uganda to teach them about the wrongful shit about history. He was always saying that history is never going to be taught in schools. It should be taught from home. Parents should tell their children their history because we have grandparents home. And he was always concentrating on sciences and he wanted scientists more especially. So now you could see because he disagreed with the history because he knew all these people with their cheap propaganda and their false history they're teaching. That one also made him called a dictator. And of course, Mr. Truth says that Mandela was broken. Mandela was broken for sure, but there is also a rumor that goes around that Mandela was killed in prison and somebody else came in. And of course, probably, but that's all, you know, rumors. But there is one thing I know for sure. When you ask people who were there that time talking about Mandela, I always read this on my post, yeah, because I have like a lot of South Africans who read my post about that history. Uh, Sango was never identified. Sango was one of the man who created that movement that Mandela was in, and he was the brain behind everything. But Sango was never talked about. But anyway, there will be yet another. I don't want to talk about today. We're talking about Idi Amin. So whenever I'm talking about history, my mind drive from one jump from one place to another. But well, let me not get off the topic. So we realized that Idi Amin was so very much never, and I feel like some people do not appreciate him, but people who love Africa will surely do appreciate Idi Amin. There's few other Africans who call him a traitor person. Mr. Truth says that yes, Gaddafi was killed. Gaddafi was killed. They killed Gaddafi. America killed Gaddafi. But that's the truth. Yeah, I know. Now, speaking about Libya issues, we've seen Gaddafi being one of the greatest Africans ever. Gaddafi was this man who took care of his people. Mr. Truth, what are you laughing at? because say America killed Gaddafi. Of course, now these people, we saw very many rebels coming out to protest about Gaddafi presidency. But again, these very people were sponsored by America, and of course, Barack Obama killed Gaddafi. Bullshit. Gaddafi was one person who was anticipating for Africa's unity and, of course, asked Africans to have one currency. And his dream was Africa to be united and, of course, to change Africa's currency. America was owing him a lot of money he never wanted to pay back. Then they had to kill him. Today, everyone's talking. Some people believe that Gaddafi was a bad person, but we should look at the facts about Gaddafi too. Gaddafi was somebody who took care of his people wholeheartedly. Wherever Gaddafi went, he left something to remember. Gaddafi built some schools that were traditional schools in different African countries. In Uganda, he had Gaddafi. There was a school called Gaddafi. And to say something very funny, Gaddafi wanted to marry one of the queens and the princesses of this country. She comes from my area, actually. Uh, so she wanted to marry her. And then she built a huge palace for us. But yeah, let's not go back into that story. But unfortunately, he was killed. When you said you was going off topic when you started to talk about history. Yeah, Mr. Truth. At least I've taken time to say about Africa's history. I've taken time. I've really, because I'm somebody who always wants to find out the truth. And I don't read crackers history. I don't read crackers books. I don't read the Western books. I so very much try to get history from at least true sources, and if not, I do research about it. Yes, I will agree with you, though I will not say that I know it so very much, because where I come from, they say never say you know something very much, because you never know who knows it better than you. So, yeah, I will not say so. So Gaddafi, we saw Gaddafi was somebody who loved Africa and Africa to be united, and a lot of African presidents believed in him. And then probably people knew that the Western knew that Africa was bringing something. Gaddafi was bringing something on African's table that, yeah, that everyone was so afraid of. You understand? So we saw now the West, of course, Barack Obama. God, you man, now coming in, and of course we lost Gaddafi. And Gaddafi died. I was still in my, what was it? I was in my primary school. But my brothers loved him so much, and they said lots of things about him. And when he died, it was a very sad story. That year, it was so very painful seeing Gaddafi's body being driven all over the capital of Libya. And people, he had swollen, you could not even recognize his face. His son, being killed, and it was a painful moment for Gaddafi, even after the great things he did for Libya. Sometimes I feel like that's why I'm always saying that at some point maybe presidents should step down, not to let their countries being devoured by these Western people. You understand? Because the youth and the people are always desperate. When you are desperate, you don't see the good things. You always focus on whatever you want, and that's the problem now with staying into power for a very long time. But Gaddafi, we shouldn't have. They wouldn't have killed Gaddafi. He was a great person. He did a lot of great things that many people have will never even do, because right now Libya is dying. Libya is busy killing other Africans and selling them into slavery. Sorry, we've seen a lot of Nigerians who try to, you know, to, you know, to smuggle themselves into Europe, being killed and sold by Libyan army, because now Libya has turned into another thing. You understand? Of course, General Mosquito Amani, my brother, thank you very much for coming on Black Hot Fire Network. Thank you very much, guys, for watching, and thank you very much for loving my show and for commenting. Now, we've been talking about Idi Amin Mosquito, and of course, what do you think about him? And Mr. Truth told us a lot about what he thinks, and Lando too. Lando says that Uganda was attacked because of its brilliance and high developed children, and scared that the European scientists, because of Uganda, was a threat to their white supremacy. And Mr. Truth said that any African leader that speaks against the West will have a similar campaign waged against them. That's very true. I'm not like going to say that the president of Ghana is a kind of good person. He's also a puppet. But we use this very example because at least he's the president I knew. When I was born, I found him in power, so he's somebody I know. Uh, it's him I know. Okay, I've not seen other presidents, but we've seen him disagree with a lot of things that America was trying to impose on Uganda. So, and after him refusing America's proposal, we've seen America withdrawing a lot of things from Uganda, except that there are other things he cannot withdraw, like, things of United Nations, blah, blah. But we've seen him remove the UN head officers of East Africa from Uganda because they were here in Entebbe, and he transfers them to Nairobi, Kenya. We've seen America do that. you know we've seen him just because during when Barack Obama was president of United States of America, Barack Obama was asked, Museveni to sign an agreement of allowing homosexuality in the country. So everyone was watching and expecting the president to say yes, but he refused and said, I'm not going to agree to that. So America was so mad with President Museveni, and and then they had to remove the United Nations head officers from Uganda, and they transferred them to Nairobi, where homosexuality is practiced freely. I don't see them, freely. But here, Museveni even had to put, a law that when you're caught doing homosexuality, you should be taken to prison. That's what he says. And then during that time, of course, we saw him trying to talk about sex. We saw the president of Ghana talking about sex and saying that he doesn't agree with people doing, sex in another different way. And of course, people started making comedy about him and all that kind of blah blah. But yeah, so we saw America against the president of Uganda, not because they wanted to free Uganda from dictatorship or whatever, but because they are here for their own reasons. You understand? Because they want their things to pass through that the president of Uganda is not agreeing with it right now. And then we are seeing, of course, Bob Wine coming out and saying he has no problem with homosexuality and what have you. So America is right behind him, supporting him because they agreed to that. And of course, let me fast read. He wanted LGBT. Yes, yes, that's true. He did. America wanted that. So Museveni refused, and then definitely he's never going to be a friend to America. You understand? So America is so very much trying to want Museveni to go away, to move out of the seat, because not because they don't want him because he's a dictator, but because they want to put through their LGBT society. They want to impose it on Uganda because Uganda is one of the countries that does not support that. Though I read when a lot of people from the West and even some Black Americans saying that it's very rigid, they don't have a right to stop them from doing whatever they want. But let me tell you something. Whenever I'm complaining about this thing, I always tell them that culture does not allow you to do that, and tradition does not allow you to do that. So you cannot wake up and tell me that I am a Ugandan and I'm a gay and I'm doing this because I am. You see, we've seen things happen. The truth, there are a lot of bitter things that happen in Africa that people don't talk about. Now I'm going again to gay shit, but I'll tackle it a little bit. We've seen one of the Ugandan kings who was taken by British. Oh God, before they cut off my head. When you talk about kings here, they can even kill you. But I was to say in a small. He went and studied from UK. He came back when he was gay. And this And this man did not. Now, I'm not going to talk about this. I'm not going to say about this. My mouth is itching. Ah, God, Maria, stop that gossip. Ooh. But I'm going to say a little. So he went to UK. He was a very handsome man. I can tell you, I believe he was one of the handsome men. You know, he was very handsome. I think he was just ladyish. His face was just like not like strong African man, but it was his face was. I'll send you that. I'll bring that picture one time back. This man, when he went to London, because at that time they were taking princes and prince all over Africa to go and study in London. Of course, Queen Elizabeth gave them that offer. So when that one king went there, he came back when he's gay. I know this is a sad truth that people don't like to hear. When you're saying it, that people want even to kill you. He do not even produce children because something happened to his Mr. Dixon now. Obi I will understand what I mean. I don't know what happened. So these things are true. He got his mind got stuck into that ass eating shit. He forgot about his queen. And now a bastard is ruling. Did I even say that? Now that's the end of story. If you know, you know. But I feel like he was caused by the spirits not to have bear children. So people start saying he has the problem with his Dixon. So but they cast, and by the way, being a king in Africa is spiritual. Not everyone is a king here. It's spiritual. So he was cast, his throne was cast, and he could not bear children. This is the fact that people don't like to listen to, more especially when here in Uganda. But one of the greatest king, and of course, his father was the one who invited colonialists here. His father is the one who sold Ugandans into slavery. His father was the one who signed the treaties and sold Uganda to the British. That's why Uganda is called the name of their kingdom. So if you understand now. So that king was cast by the spirits and he could not bear children when he ate somebody's ass. This ass eating more, you know, shit. I don't want to talk about that. I feel even I cannot say them with my own mouth because they are so disgusting. And again, it's my tradition. So somebody will wake up and tell me that, homosexuality is African tradition and kind of blah, 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 He wasn't accepted by the ancestors. So now they spoiled his manhood. He could not father children because the ancestors cast his entire lineage. And I think they said that we're going to put a stop. This is going to stop with you. So right now, a bastard is ruling over. And people who don't want to know history feel like he's the right king. No, this man comes from a different place, you know. But because the woman got pregnant for another, a messenger. A messenger just went in and pregnated this woman, and right now he's the king. I people don't want us to talk about this, but I'm not going to talk about it. But that's the truth. So nobody will ever convince me that homosexuality. You see, AA people who are practicing homosexuality are always saying that it was African. It was, oh, come on, cut the crap. It was African for where? But this is what happened. Like I told you, that one king who was cast by ancestors, he was cast by the spirit not to ever bear children. Here in Uganda, I am saying that truth. I know. And he never bore children, but he could not stand to tell his people that he cannot father. So his wife got pregnant of a messenger. So our bastard is the king right now. You understand? Because of doing that, when he went to Europe, when Queen Elizabeth came and picked them, he started doing that shit from there. He came back here when you understand. I don't want to go back into that story. But we've seen very many times America trying to impose this on Uganda. And that's one thing I'll say. the president of Uganda for not agreeing homosexuality to be practiced in this country because what Uganda has the highest population of youths in entire of Africa. So when you introduce such kind of thing, that means women are going to be, left out and they're going to spoil the culture, the tradition, and of course, Uganda will not have a future anymore. Because how will you be practicing, homosexuality and expect to have babies? Of course not. So this is also another way of cutting off, the reproduction, process in the African society, you know. Of course, our own Nisha Penda, you are very much welcome. You're so welcome. Africa has its handful. Right now, we will be a third world country in 5 years. Mr. Truth, yes. Okay. Nisha Penda says peace and love family. Nisha Penda, you're very much welcome. You're so very much welcome. Mr. Truth says homosexuality is a European thing, but it's spreading in our communities as well. That's true. That's true. Yeah, a homosexual, okay. Universal law is at work, and that these goofy things will go away. I pray they do. He wasn't accepted by the ancestors. Yes, he wasn't. Our people don't realize you are still on the hook no matter what idiots they follow. And pro death, they can forget that one we have and will not accept no matter where we are in this planet. Yes, it's a play to slow the birth rate of our people. You know, that's true. Because the homosexuality is some because I don't even see the reason. Now the funniest thing that happens is when homosexuals start adopting children. Why are you even adopting children? Okay, I'm not gonna say something, but what if you don't have kids? What is it? How will you convince me that you love someone else's child when actually you don't love children? Because of course, if you don't want to give birth to children, that means you don't love them. You cannot tell me, you know what, Maria, I love kids so much, but I don't want to give birth. Who does not love their own children? And then you want to tell me that you love somebody else's child, or probably you're having that child for your own different reasons. You understand? We've seen this one lady, she's a celebrity who took a girl child, a boy child, and she's raising him like a girl. And this boy, I don't know. And then you tell me that the boy does not have a right to decide whether he or she wants to put on whatever it is that you're giving them, you know. But I thought that when a child is a kid, that means you as a parent, you're the one supposed to think for them. And then the best thing she thinks is to make that this boy wear like a girl. And then for her, she's a lady, but she wears like a man. Her pair of jeans and her shirts are just like men. She's wearing like men things all the time. And she's raising this boy like a girl. Everything about her is so confusing. I'm forgetting her name even. I don't know that much, but I hope you guys know her. She's a white celebrity. I learned about her on social media, of course. You know, uh-huh. Of course, Nisha is saying that is to molest the kids. That's true. I think so. Because why? If you don't want to have babies, you are a gay man, and then you want to tell me that probably it's also their plan to start preaching their homosexual on the root, starting from the root. Of course, when you start with children, that means you're starting with the root. And how will a child living with the gay people think about it different when my mom and dad, both of them are men, or both of them are women? That's the system the child is going to grow up knowing that mom and dad is supposed to be a man. So you understand? So I feel like this whole thing, in fact, even the society shouldn't be giving these people the right to adopt children. Because what kind of example are you showing? And the funniest thing is like every LGBT person wants to adopt African children. Most of them want to adopt African children. So I feel like this system is focusing so much into African society and defiling us at every aspect. You understand? But of course, now these are the things that Idi Amin could not allow. Honestly, I do believe if Idi Amin was there, he wouldn't allow such kind of bullshit to happen. Like I told before, he's somebody who never agreed people bleaching their skin. Even had to put imprisonment statements for people who are selling bleaching chemicals. He was a man who agreed, who loved polygamous. He supported polygamous marriages so much. You understand? And then he also put a task that if you marry more than three wives, the government will giving you some money, will be taking care of you, will be giving you some money as a man. No person has come out to support that. We only saw that in uh which um which South African country where our president came out and offered a man to marry, if you're marrying one woman, you cannot marry one woman, you take more than two women. You understand? And all the women, they are beautiful. So the president wanted to break this whole chain, you know. So Angela Julie or something like that. Angelina Julie. No, 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 not Angelina Julie. It is another. I don't know her, but I think she's a celebrity. I'll try to research about her. No, she's not Angelina Jolie's. No, no, not that one. The other one is not as mature as Angelina. Angelina has very many kids, but the other one has like one boy. She makes her, she has groomed her like a man. She even plaits the hair like a man. She wears jumpsuits like ladies, sorry. She wears jumpsuits, and you can see his little self in the jumpsuits, like. And I'm like, what's wrong with this woman? And then I remember the like 2 years ago when I was in UK. I remember 2 years ago, everyone, social media was talking about her all over. That was 2 years ago. If you can, so I don't remember her name. My mind always closes to bad things. When people do bad things, it's like I'm not seeing them. I just my mind just cuts them off my system. But I'm gonna try to check up. I'm gonna try to look back into her. Uh, okay, Mrs. Yes, I must marry four wives to build up our people. And why are you laughing about it? It's great. Honestly, marrying, it's great. If at all your missions are great, okay, it's great to marry more than one woman. If at all they understand, if at all your reasons are good, but only that most people, it's let it not be the you know the ice cream system of Keith Newsom. Okay, I hope it's not the ice cream system of Keith, Mr. Truth. If not the ice cream system of Keith, then yes, I support you. True that. So we've seen these whole things, the way America has come out to want to impart a lot of culture, new cultures on different Africans, and it's so very sad that South Africa embraces a whole lot of bullshit. Now, guys, LGBT is so very much promoted in South Africa. And also, we've seen this also try to be lifted in Nigeria. We've seen this in Nairobi. In Kenya, homosexuals move in the streets of Nairobi. I don't know why Sparks is not talking about this, but if I was in Kenya, I would even just go and interview them right up there. They even have a camp where they put them, and then later they bring them to America. They take them to Canada. We've seen that happen. We've seen a lot of gay youths in Uganda, those who are entering these. And the funniest thing, they have children, they have had their wife. I feel like some of them think it's a way of earning money. You go for somebody to eat your ass just because you want to earn money. We've seen this happen. And most African youths are doing this as a means of survival. But how do you defile yourself to this extent just because you want to have money? We see them do this. And then they run out of Uganda, they go to Nairobi. There is a camp, there is a UN camp there where they are given almost everything: food, accessories, and in a place to sleep, not until when they give them green cards to travel to US or Canada. This is happening if you guys didn't know. So homosexuals are given green cards to travel into US and Canada and other countries, because they're just homosexuals. And they always say that the country's against them. So yeah, okay. So like Nisha says, that nasty crap is not our culture and will never be. I've seen a lot of black people coming out to say that it was tradition, that homosexuality, oh God. Hmm. It was in our tradition. Our ancestors were practicing that book. Oh God, which kind of books are these people reading? Because you're not going to tell me you were there, that you existed during that time. But I gave you an example of one of a Ugandan king who did that shit, and the ancestors cast him. The spirit cast him that he could not bear children. Unfortunately, he had only girls, and he could not bear children no more. They put a stop to his manhood. You understand? These are stories that people don't like talking about. They're facts. And if people were preaching about this, if they preached about this, if that man led an example, if they are talking about him to the youth, they would not be doing that thing. But we've seen other black people coming out to say that this was just like the way, Nisha, what is that? What is that shit of women marrying more than what? More than more than women marry men and more than one man, just like polygamy. What do they call that thing? Wow, for laundry or something? For laundry, something like that. I didn't know that thing existed until this year. I didn't even think I've even never heard of it until this year when I saw a lot of African American women advocating for that, and they were asking if they were saying they also have yeah, for laundry. Yes, that's it. They were asking the right to practice that kind of thing. You see, it's very weird. It hurts to me. I believe in my culture, and actually here, they say that a woman, a mother, is the head of a nation. That's why when you're saying Uganda, you say her, you know, she's a mother. And when you spoil a woman's mind, you spoil the entire generation. When a woman's mind is contaminated, the entire generation is contaminated. You understand? So that's why I always say that like we should try as much as possible to consciously awaken a lot of queens, because this would be a great impact. Now, Mr. Truth, you are speaking of marrying more than four women. I mean, you should consciously awaken these four women so that you can have a great army of consciously awakened children, and they're going to build a great family. You understand? So we've seen that you can't practice either this type you can't practice either in this type of environment. That is niche Pena. Of course, Miss Info says that hmm, here is where you can get more information about how, okay, Charlie's throne changed her adopted African son to a trans from age to two, and justifying why she did. Miss Info, Mr. Truth, she's called Charlie's throne. Whatever. That is the biatch. That is the woman. That is her. That is the woman I was talking about. Mr. Truth, you were asking me. That is the woman. Ah, that woman. You understand? So yes, a woman marrying more than one man is called palandrang. Yes, Miss Info, Nisha reminded me. We discussed about that sound. Well, that was a very weird thing. I told my mom about it. She said, "What? Where does that happen?" I said, "Well, it's coming to Africa." And she was saying, "Well, people of this generation." But some people were supporting that even are not people of this generation. How weird. But anyway, whatever it is. So we've seen a lot of things trying to be imparted on Africa and are being named different. And I so very much believe in future, just like I think, well, who said, was it Lando or Mr. Truth, who said that if you go against the West, if you preach different about them, if you do not agree with their missions, of course, they will start preaching ill propaganda about you and calling you a dictator. And we've seen them do that, with Idi Amin, of course. Most people do believe that he was not a good person, he was not a good praiser, but we've seen that happen. And we've seen Amin do great things that probably people do not even want to talk about. And if Idi Amin was there, right, today, homosexuality wouldn't even smell Uganda's soil. He would just kill the MP. I guess I'm using that word, I'm not saying that thing. But of course, guys, thank you very much for watching Black Hot Fire Network. Thank you very much for coming. It is 17 minutes past 2 a.m. here in Uganda. It's a Sunday. And of course, I'm so very excited to have you guys with me, Mr. Truth, Nisha, and of course, Lando, Missed Info. You are very much, so very much welcome. And a lot of my brothers here, Mosquito is always doing somehow. I don't know whether it's always flying around the entire place because he always drops one comment and goes, Adam, I saw you say hi to me. I didn't see you participate. I missed to see your brains here, my dear brother. But of course, thank you very much for coming and for watching. Michelle Gibson, you also went so fast. You were the first to comment, but I didn't see you also, comment further. But of course, thank you very much. Mosquito, where are you? Gibson and everybody who didn't comment, guys. It's always my pleasure to be here and see how smart, my brothers and sisters are. And it's always proud. It makes me feel proud of being a black person, seeing how people believe, how we have a very common cause. And of course, like I said, here on Black Hot Fire Network is where you find uncut, unfiltered, and diluted information. We say facts the way they are. And of course, here on a Black Hot Fire Network, it's always my pleasure to have you guys. And like I say, you always make me feel so warm when I see you pouring those brains down here. And I'm like, yeah, black people are always do that. And Nisha Penda said Kwaheri, and of course Kwaheri, my brothers. Thank you very much for coming and thank you very much for watching Maria Mpezwa Africa. I love you so much. This is Black Hot Fire Network. Bye bye.